Have you ever wondered why your grocery bills are rising while farmers in Europe are protesting on the streets? This paradox is no accident. It's a direct result of the difficulties faced by farmers across Europe, from the Netherlands to Germany, France, and beyond. These farmers are dealing with a confluence of challenges that are making their work more difficult and less profitable. The European Union's strict regulations for local agriculture are a primary concern. These rules are intended to promote sustainable farming practices but are seen by many farmers as overly burdensome and detrimental to their livelihoods. The situation is similar everywhere: demonstrations, roadblocks, marches in the squares, high prices in supermarkets. The price of tomatoes and milk in the Czech Republic tripled in the space of 2 weeks. In the Netherlands, for example, the high cost of land rentals and freezes on the selling prices of agricultural products mean that farmers are often operating at a loss. Even when they meticulously follow all the rules and regulations, they are unable to turn a profit. This situation is not unique to the Netherlands. It's a common theme across the continent. The farmers' frustration has culminated in widespread protests, with tractors blocking roads and city squares filled with protesters. In the Netherlands, they've even gone as far as turning their national flags upside down and spreading manure in front of the parliament building, a potent symbol of their discontent. Their grievances vary from country to country, but a common thread of economic hardship and mistrust in institutions runs through all their stories. Farmers' protests have begun in the Netherlands. As a sign of protest, the national flag was turned upside down. The problem is the too strict rules dictated by the European Union for local agriculture, which cannot survive. The situation has been on the edge in almost all states for years. After Holland, the protest also continued in Germany, which spread to France, Poland, Austria, Portugal, Luxembourg, Romania, Italy, and Malta also demonstrated. The main protest in the Czech Republic is about the import of agricultural products from Ukraine and Poland with lower prices and lower fees, and this can kill the local production, full of inconsistent rules. In Italy, farmers are also asking the state to contain wildlife and respond directly for the damage it causes, and to ban the import of agricultural products from countries with production and health standards less rigid than those in Italy and Europe. In some cases, wild fauna, for example wild boar in Italy, have no natural predators because they are extinct or decimated like wolves in Italy, and as there are very strict rules regarding hunting, are becoming a significant problem for the population. Car accidents, even fatal ones, occur more and more often, caused by the sudden crossing of a road by a wild boar, for example. Sometimes wild animals simply cause damage to electrical or telephone cables. The decisive factor that ruined the trade was the transition from production for subsistence to production for the market. The measures discussed in the protest include the obligation to allocate at least 4% of arable land to non-productive functions and the obligation to carry out crop rotations and reduce the use of fertilizers and pesticides by at least 20%. But like that, farmers cannot maintain competitive prices for their products without making a loss. There is talk of importing wheat and other products mostly from Ukraine, which can afford very low prices, thus destroying the local economy. But let's try to clarify the real situation. In reality, many farmers want to use pesticides instead of asking for money for the transition to natural crop. They ask to still be able to poison us to produce more and be competitive with the market prices imposed by importing flour from countries like Ukraine, or so-called protein flour, which is nothing other than the infamous insect flour. Perhaps it would be enough to cultivate in a natural way, or even for everyone to have the possibility and ability to self-produce at least part of their own food. The farmers themselves could hold courses in schools, because it is important for people to learn to be autonomous and self-sufficient, as much as mathematics is important, geography, science, and arts. A solution can be selling at 0 kilometers and importing as little as possible. With the right knowledge, it is possible to recreate an environment anywhere to grow any type of plant, whether you live in a hot or cold country, thanks to heated or cooled greenhouses. What should be free and which no one discusses is water. Water is life, and we should invest everywhere so that there are public drinking water fountains and plenty of water for cooking, irrigating, washing, and drinking. Water needs to be free for everyone on Earth. We don't need large factories where low-quality food is produced or intensive farms where animals suffer. We need to produce in a natural and sustainable way. Crop rotation enriches the soil, which is otherwise impoverished by intensive cultivation. If you grow the same crops every year that absorb the same nutrients from the soil will become impoverished and will produce less next year. For this reason, the following year a greater quantity of pesticides and fertilizers are needed. On the other hand, crop rotation renews the soil since each plant consumes different types of nutrients and releases others. Composting and various organic fertilizers are also useful to enrich depleted soil. A rule that requires that 4% of land be used not for cultivation does not in any way affect the balance already used up until 4% are 4 meters for every 100 meters of land, and each farmer already uses at least 4 meters as a shed for tools, or a corner for composting, or owns a tank to collect rainwater, or all these things. So why protest?
The price of agricultural diesel is currently at €0.619 per litre, much cheaper than the price of diesel for cars. Between the two fuels there is no difference, they are made of the same compound. Although they are of a different color since a dye is added to both to distinguish them, agricultural diesel is normally red. The only real difference is of an exclusively economic nature, and in recent years it has at the center of controversy and questions. There is a dedicated regulation on agricultural diesel to support the agricultural sector and facilitate farmers in the sale of their products. Over time, tax breaks have been provided to its advantage, starting from the purchase of diesel at a subsidized price, much lower than that of normal diesel. In Italy, for example, if, thanks to the different color, you are stopped for a police check and it is discovered that agricultural diesel has been used in a normal car, you risk a sentence ranging from a minimum of 6 months to a maximum of 3 years of imprisonment, a fine ranging from double to 10 times the tax evaded, and in any case not less than €7,746.85. On January 19, 2024, the center of Berlin was blocked by transporters with more than 100 trucks in protest against the toll increase. Dissatisfied farmers, who refused to cut diesel subsidies for agriculture, also took to the streets of the German capital. Farmers used the Grünwasch food fair, considered the largest of its kind in the world, to protest. Even if the price of agricultural diesel were to rise, agriculture would be definitively destroyed. Transporters, however, criticize the higher toll prices, which they consider liquidating. Driving trucks weighing more than 7.5 tons became more expensive last December, when an emission surcharge of €200 per ton of carbon dioxide began to be paid as part of the toll. The emissions load is calculated based on the emission class of a given vehicle. From July, the toll will also be extended to smaller trucks under 7.5 tons. Scholz's government promises to raise another €30.5 billion from tax increases by 2027. On the other hand, this could be an incentive to produce at 0 kilometers.